Hey, what's your name?
Helen.
That's nice. You look like a Helen.
Helen, we're both in sales.
Let me tell you why I suck.
Donkey Kong sucks.
You know something? You suck.
You suck. Maybe you've said that to a tool, an apprentice, or maybe even some of your own work. But for our video today, we're going to look at tools that truly do suck in the tile and stone industry.
You suck, you jackass.
For some of my brethren in the tile industry, you may have never used a suction cup like this 8-inch from Direx. Maybe you've never needed it, never had to use it while installing a 12 by 24-inch tile. Whereas those in the stone industry have to have suction cups available at all times on a job site. Otherwise, you might not be able to get a piece of stone properly placed. They are very useful once you get it stuck on the material. Smacking the plunger gets old quick, and if you are in a hurry, you run the risk of having a mistake. So before I give you my opinion on these new tools, I need you to remember that. It's my opinion. Yours might be different. I've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars trying and testing different tools over the years. So my opinion is that through which my own experience has rounded and shaped. So you might not invest in the same tools that I would recommend, and I therefore might not invest in the same tools that you like. But with that said, we both have heard of one brand over the last few years that has been growing everywhere. That's right, I'm talking about Grabo. Coming in a cloth case, the standard Grabo comes with 2 rechargeable batteries and an extra rubber seal in the pouch. It has a pressure gauge and a simple push button to start the vacuum pump. When this thing came on the market a couple of years ago, I begged the bosses to order 4. These are not cheap, but after we received them, I felt they were cheaply made. We broke our first one in 2 weeks, our second a month later. The plastic housing and the pumps all wore out quickly, and we were not using and abusing them as you might think. To Grabo's credit, they have stood behind their product. They've replaced and they've repaired countless Grabos in the industry so that the customer service is top tier. But the buttons are still in a terrible spot where my thumb wants to go. I experienced multiple times where the pump would turn on while lifting or the pressure slide off because of my hand placement. The handle itself was much larger than I am accustomed to with standard cups, so that did take some time to get used to. So you can imagine how excited I was to hear that Grabo was coming out with an 8-inch automatic circular suction cup, something that everyone in the industry already was accustomed to using. So may I introduce to you the Ottovac by Grabo.
Gimme, I need.
Now in a thin plastic carrying case, the box comes with instructions to register your cup, a quality check slip handled by Ada, and the thickest manual book you've ever seen.
I never learned to read.
Is that true?
Yes, everything except the reading part.
Since I am a nerd, I read the instruction booklet and found out I should not go climbing with the Ottovac so that I won't die.
It was a slow-motion drama as the climber made his way up using suction cups that he apparently purchased for around $100 a piece.
The Ottovac has some similarities to the Grabo. It has a Grabo air pressure gauge, it has a loud air pump, and it has a bunch of plastic parts. To operate, the Ottovac requires 4 AA batteries carefully placed in the central battery compartment. To access the compartment, push the small plastic lever located below the green rubber button. Once the batteries are in place, it is as simple as pushing the green button to turn on the pump. The pump was responsive, but I had to apply pressure to get it to bite down onto the surface and truly suck down. The gauge gave me a good indicator on the pressure created, but it was still a little odd. The pump would turn on every few seconds, which is good for air pressure, but makes me wonder, how many batteries are you going to go through on a job site? More importantly, it's kind of just annoying how loud and how often that pump runs.
Well, as you can see, it sucks as it cuts. It certainly does suck.
Even with the pump turned off, the pressure was still pretty good once it hit the red zone. Would I trust that? No. But that's at least one good design feature, that the machine does not sit idle, letting air leak out. To release pressure and remove the cup, push the pump button again, and then push the corner of the large lever located below the battery compartment release button. Overall, the Ottovac by Grabo is a huge improvement compared to standard suction cups. But there are a few design issues that I have with it, and one potential fatal flaw. First, they need to adapt more metallic parts for sturdiness and durability. Second, find a way to increase the ability of the cup to hold pressure longer. And third, and here's what could be a fatal flaw, they need to re-engineer the battery compartment. So with the Ottovac, it has a small plastic lever that is spring-loaded from underneath, and it's supposed to keep the battery compartment locked in place. But if you don't get a good enough shut on it, the whole thing can just come out on its own.
A few moments later.
After some engineering considerations, I've figured out what needed to be adjusted for this battery compartment to stay in place. You see, you need to have this tiny little screw loosened ever so slightly. I did about a half a turn, and it allowed this plastic piece to cup just enough of the battery compartment to hold it in place. Now, while I was doing that, though, I discovered that this plastic piece, again, plastic, also connects to the inside, which hooks onto the metal frame. So if this were to ever break, you'd have no way to secure the battery compartment without it sliding out on its own. Overall, if the Ottovac was the only automatic suction cup on the market, I would definitely buy it. However, there is another option on the market that few people have heard about.
Gimme.
Let me introduce you to the Tuffcup 8-inch battery-powered automatic suction cup by Weha.
They really built this. This isn't a mock-up or anything.
She put to sea this morning.
This suction cup comes in a heavy-duty carrying case with a simple USB-C cable for charging wherever you have a USB plug-in. Weha says it should only take about 2 hours to fully charge and go from a red light to green. Weha has done a really good job of keeping the presentation simple and avoiding any exposed components. Made and designed in Germany, it feels like almost all the other regular suction cups I've ever used. To turn on, simply push the purple button on the end of the handle and then place against the surface you want to bond it to. I was blown away by the immediate grab of the tool, how quickly it removed the air and bonded to the substrate. I mean, look at it. The Tuffcup immediately bites onto the surface and pulls tight. I still push a time or two to make sure that it was getting a firm bite, but this thing grabs. You can see the pump lightly and quietly adding extra suction with the flicker of the green light. To release the pressure, first turn off the pump by pushing the purple button again, and then push the release button on the opposite end of the handle. It's that simple. The cup itself was not that heavy. It was not anything out of the norm. In fact, it felt very much like all the other suction cups I've ever used over the last decade plus.
That is fantastic. Terrific work. So no weaknesses at all, huh?
No.
You hesitated there. Is there something I should know?
No, it's virtually indestructible, like 99.99%.
Okay, wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask what's the .01.
There is no gauge for how much battery power you have left. Weha says the cup can last up to 72 hours, but I cannot verify that. It does take up to 2 hours to charge, so what would happen if your cup went dead on a job site? You would have no way to improvise. So make sure you buy 1 or 2 extra for you and your crew. Comparing the Ottovac to the Tuffcup is hard. They both are evenly priced depending on your vendor for between $140 to $180 each. They each have drawbacks, but each have really good features.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
We are in an industry that is driven by designers, and one key design element is minimalism. So when I compare the two suction cups, I see one that's already minimalist, one that's already refined for the market, whereas another, it still has improvements that are needed to almost have a second generation coming down the pipe.
You don't want it.
I think I kind of want it.
Okay, but just this once.
So for me and my money, I would definitely go with the Tuffcup and put that in my toolbox. It just looks, feels, and handles like so much of everything else in our world. Simple and clean. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Am I dead wrong? Do you have some alternative that I should try out for a new suction cup technique? Let me know and I'll be sure to respond. But as always, I thank you for watching, and you're not a pro unless you know.